Hello, this is Chris Anderson again, and I just wanted to share a short poem with you this week. A poem about a little moment in my life, because that's how I think God speaks to us, how He speaks to all of us, is, is through moments. This is called Quitting Cross Country. When I told Coach Long I was quitting cross country, he understood. It was cool, though he said he'd just figured out what my name would be. He named us all: Caveman, Scooter, Breeze. He had to watch us first and see. I've been wondering again what my name would have been. I've been praying. And in the early morning darkness, a light from my neighbor's house has made a pattern on the wall above the couch, like leaves. So, what's this little poem about? It's about a moment when I'm praying in the living room early in the morning when it's still dark. And during the prayer, I've been thinking about my cross country coach and about the 2 weeks that I was on the cross country team in high school. I turned out for cross country, but I just didn't like it. It was just too hard for me in a way, or it wasn't what I wanted to do. And we had this very charismatic coach, very famous coach named Coach Long. I don't know what his first name was, Len Long, I think. And one of the things he did was he named the kids. He'd watch how we ran, and then he would name us. And I'll never forget the conversation I had with him when I told him I was quitting cross country. And he told me, well, he'd figured out what my name would be. I'd been on the team long enough, he had watched how I ran. But he wouldn't tell me what it was because I was quitting the team. He was very understanding. And so the question is, why do I think that God was speaking to me in this moment? Or is God speaking to us in moments like this? Right? And that's the big decision. That's, I think, where we can go one of two directions. It's in moments like that faith really happens. We can say, no, I was just thinking about that. It was just a memory. In fact, that was a distraction from prayer. That wasn't prayer. Prayer is when angels sing, or a big shaft of light, not just a light from a neighbor's house, shines through. And I suddenly know God. God's speaking to me. That's God, and I know for sure what my mission is, and I know exactly what God wants me to do. And I don't think it happens that way very much for most of us. And because it doesn't, this is why it's so important. Because it doesn't, we think that God doesn't exist. We think that God isn't really there. But He is. That's the choice. That's the little leap we make when we sit and pray in the morning and watch what's going on in our minds. Not everything is from God. But this moment, this memory had a certain resonance or a certain texture or a certain flavor, like some of our memories do for all of us. And what if this is from God? It's not obvious, but what if God wants me to think about this? He's calling me somehow through this memory. And then the other part of the poem is this leap, I was in the living room and it was early in the morning and I saw this pattern on the wall. It was the shadow of leaves. Well, what's that have to do with the memory? How do those two things go together? Do they go together? And is God trying to speak to me through this pattern on the wall? Through this ordinary light coming into the ordinary darkness. And when I was writing the poem, I wasn't sure. I was just sort of listening to my intuition. Somehow intuitively, those two things went together. Somehow intuitively, these two things comment on each other. I'm not sure how. And I could say, well, I think the theme of this is that nobody can tell us our names. I've always struggled with quitting cross country and wondered what my name would be, but maybe I'm thinking about that because I'm too concerned with what other people think and in measuring myself by other standards, as we all do. And I think of that memory comes to mind, and God is saying, let it go. It's okay. Just let it go. It doesn't matter what he would name you because you're here now. You're not running, you're sitting on a couch. And there's a pattern on the wall. It's the pattern of my life. Maybe in a sense, this is about growing older, too. But there's a pattern on the wall. And I don't know exactly what it means when God speaks to us in these ways. I don't think he's coming out and telling us things. There's a beautiful book by Abbot Jeremy Driscoll. It's called A Monk's Alphabet. Moments of Stillness in a Turning World. Abbot Jeremy from Mount Angel. And he says this in one passage. I love this book. It's little pieces alphabetically, as if a dictionary. And this entry is called Between the Lines. B, Between the Lines. That's part of the monk's alphabet. I just love this. Between the lines. Of course, God cannot be just another of the things in this world to be noticed also alongside all the rest. God's very being requires more than that. Not more in the sense of quantity, but in the sense of quality. And so, if God is here at all, and God must be, because all the rest is, then it would have to be in the quality of something like between the lines of things and persons, of something like the desire that others awaken in us but never satisfy, of something like a hidden radiance that we are longing to see, whose presence we sometimes suspect but never see. Everything depends on this. If you have had moments like this, of having a memory and sitting in a living room in the darkness, if you've had a moment like that, as we all have, many, many moments like that, I want to urge you to believe, to think, to consider the possibility that God is speaking to you in those moments. It's not that God isn't there, it's that we expect him to be obvious and he's subtle. We expect him to be transcendent in a certain way, and he is, but he's transcendent and incarnate in these little moments. That we glimpse him. He's between the lines. In a sense, these moments are poems. Poems don't explain themselves most of the time. It just, here's the image, here's the moment. And I think that's how God is. I don't think he's saying any particular thing. He's saying, I'm here. You're here. I love you. Very quietly. We forget. We don't trust these moments. We don't hold still for these moments. But then sometimes if we work on it, if we practice the discipline of memory, the discipline of deciding that these ordinary things are God's language. No, He's here. He's here. That's the leap. That's what takes the courage. That's what takes the humility. That's what takes the capacity to live with the mystery. It's just saying, look, this is a mystery, and it's a beautiful mystery. This is reality, and reality is beautiful. And I love you. I know your name, God is saying. I know it. And your name is beloved son, beloved daughter. I'm the light from your neighbor's house. I'm the neighbor. And the pattern on that wall is the pattern of your life.